Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this is the slightly delayed final video about the dispositions in the new version of Warhammer 40,000, so apologies for the delay, but we're here now, and today we're talking about priority assets. Now, priority assets, on the face of it, I think is quite a strong all-round disposition. It favours sort of flexible but combined armies, so you can shoot, you can do melee, you can do actions if you can sit on objectives. It's a kind of an all-rounders disposition, I believe. That's probably the best way to characterise it. And so because of that, it favours taking balanced lists that can do a bit of everything. Of course, the weakness, therefore, is, as you might think, is that it can be quite difficult to master all of these different aspects of the game. So let's have a look at the missions and we can discuss what we think about this. So, firstly, here they are. And when you're playing the Take and Hold player, you are running a mission called Secure Asset. Right. So in Secure Asset, first thing to say is that there's an action here, and you make an action with one friendly unit that's in range of an objective that isn't your home. And this can be only done once per turn, and it completes at the end of your turn if your unit controls that objective at the end of your turn. And in that way, you have secured that asset. The scoring goes like this. In any battle round, at the end of your turn, a friendly unit that has done that secured the asset action this turn will score 4 VP. Remember, you can only do it once per turn, so that maxes out per turn at 4 VP. In addition to that, at the end of your turn, if one or more enemy units that started the turn within range of one or more central objectives is destroyed, you score 2 VP. So that's a bit of a weird one. I mean, like, first you have to kill a unit, an enemy unit, and then it also has to have started the turn within range of one or more central objectives. So if it didn't start the turn and then let's say it blood surged or heroically intervened and got onto the central or one of the central objectives and you destroyed that unit, you wouldn't score. It has to have started the turn within range, and it has to be a central objective, of course. So there's quite a lot of caveats there, quite a lot of criteria to fulfill, and for only 2 VP for each one of those enemy units. And you would think that your opponent can potentially avoid you scoring that or prevent you from scoring that because they could just not move on to the central objectives maybe, but we'll see, and we'll see how it interacts with the Take and Hold mission in a minute. The other little bit of scoring for the priority assets player is that from the second battle round onwards, at the end of the command phase, and remember, if it's the 5th battle round, it'll be the end of your turn. If you hold one or more objectives that aren't your home, you get 4 VP. So just the standard hold. And then at the end of the command phase again, if you hold 3 or more objectives, you get 4 VP. So here you can see, as I said, it is a bit of a mix. It's balanced if you like, but it's you have to do a variety of things. If you want to max out your primary VP, you're going to need to do an action, you're going to need to kill something on a central objective, and you're going to need to hold potentially, or if possible, multiple objectives. So you can sort of clearly see this is a prime example of what I was talking about in terms of play style. So let's have a look at the Take and Hold mission. That is Inescapable Dominion. This is the one that has quite simple scoring, really. In any battle round, at the end of the turn, if they hold 3 or more objectives, 4 VP. From the second battle round onwards, at the end of their command phase, if they hold 2 or more objectives, 5 VP. And at the end of the command phase again, if they hold more objectives than their opponent, 4 VP, so hold more. And then at the end of the battle, if they hold your home, then another 5 VP. So looking at this, they are scoring if they hold 3 or more objectives, any battle round at the end of the turn. And then they're also scoring if they hold 2 or more objectives in the command phase. So I mean, it seems sort of obvious to say, but the Take and Hold player is going to be looking to take as many objectives as they can. So with that, you're going to think they're going to find it difficult to avoid going near the central objectives and standing on the central objectives if they want to max out their scoring. And of course, then that will potentially give you the opportunity to kill their units. But I just think that there are opportunities, on the face of it. I haven't played this mission or anything from either perspective, but on the face of it, it seems easier to score primary if you're the take and hold player, I would say. And you can even, if you've got abilities, as I say, such as a surge move or rapid ingress or something like that, you could find ways of ending the turn on the central objective without starting it on the central objective, and then even if you get destroyed, you're depriving the priority assets player of those few points. So I think it looks like a good mission. It's fairly sort of balanced. There's a lot of play for both sides, but I think the take and hold player is, whereas they are focused, they are just simply getting on and holding objectives. There's a lot more to manage in the game, I think, for the priority assets player, but not bad. I think it seems pretty balanced, and should be a good fight, I think. The second mission we're going to look at is obviously the one that the priority assets player will use when fighting a player who's running Purge the Foe. And I think I've played against this one. In fact, I think I played against this mission today, and got absolutely battered by some Drakari, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, so it was actually my first loss of 11th today, and it was quite a big one, so anyway, never mind. Live and learn. This is all a learning experience at the moment. So this mission is called Vital Link, and again there's an action, and this time it's called Maintain Control. And to do this, you make an action with one friendly unit, and this is in range of a central objective. So again, you have the central objective coming into play a lot with this mission, but for priority assets. Again, it can only be done once per turn and completes at the end of your turn, and it will complete if you control that objective at the end of your turn. And if you do, you place an operation marker within range of that objective. And I should say, for this mission, I know there are 2 central objectives, so I don't know whether there are for all of these missions, but for this one there certainly is, so it improves your chances of scoring. And the scoring is that in any battle round, at the end of the turn, end of your turn I should say, if you hold one or more central objectives, you score 2 VP. So that's either of the central objectives, you score 2 VP, and then for each of your operation markers within range of those objectives, score 1 VP. So that's a maximum of 4 per turn there. If you've done the maintain control action on both central objectives and you hold both of them, you'll get 4 VP a turn. So again, this is really rewarding you for getting into the centre and doing a range of different tasks, including probably killing to defend the objective, but also doing the action and sitting and holding the objective. The other scoring is from the second battle round onwards at the end of your command phase. If you hold one or more objectives, not your home, 4 VP, so standard hold, and one or more of those objectives is a central objective, plus 4 VP. So again, it only counts for one. You don't score double there if you hold both central objectives, but again, the emphasis is on getting onto the central objective and holding it. And if you can hold the central objective, then you're going to be looking at 12-ish points maybe per primary per turn. Yeah, that's how you do that. And then there is the last little bonus bit of scoring, which is end of the battle if you hold your opponent's home. So I guess the playstyle here is you've got to absolutely dominate the centre of the board, hold the objectives in the centre, fight off and fend off your opponent, and then once they're sort of dead and you're easily winning, you in the final turn of the battle you hop onto their home and take it. On the other hand, the Purge the Foe player's mission is a lot more sort of straightforward. It's the old Purge the Foe mission that we all know and loved, which is essentially kill more, hold more. It's as simple as that. And if they do that, they can easily get 15 VP per turn. You get 3 points for killing an enemy unit. In fact, actually, I should be precise. Any battle round at the end of your turn, if one or more enemy units were destroyed this turn, so it's not actually that you kill. Let's say an enemy unit shoots you with a load of hazardous, overcharged hazardous weapons, and then kills themselves by failing hazard checks, then that unit would be destroyed and you would get the 3 VP. But then, of course, the standard hold, 4 VP, hold more is 6 VP. So, you do get rewarded a lot for that. And then at the end of your turn, if more enemy units were destroyed this turn than friendly units were destroyed in the previous turn, 4 VP. Yeah, pretty. I mean, I say it's straightforward, but you do have to kill and hold objectives, even as the Purge the Foe player. So, sort of duality of objectives there. Whereas the priority assets player, has to do all three things: hold, kill, and do an action. So I can tell from experience it was pretty evenly matched in terms of the mission. In fact, my opponent, although he really smashed me in terms of points, because it was just a bloodbath really, and neither of us had much left after three turns, 3 battle rounds, and then he just ran up the scoring, turn 4 and 5, and I'd basically been tabled. So. But the main point to say on that, though, he didn't even really do the action. He never did maintain control. I think he did it once in the whole game. So the actual primary scoring didn't really have a massive effect on the game. But you can see the emphasis is on all around the central objective again for the priority assets player. So that's that one. Now the third one, when you're playing a disruption player, is called Extract Relic. Let's see if there's yet another action involved and whether there's any central objective shenanigans. Let's have a look. This one, this is the one, I've talked about this before when I did the disruption video. This is the one where it's kind of a unique matchup really, because both players have the same action, and that's sensor sweep. And as a reminder, the sensor sweep is you take one friendly unit in range of, again, one central objective, and you can do it once per turn, and it completes at the end of the turn if you control that central objective. And if you do this, and you perform the action, then your unit performs what's known as a sensor sweep, and you can remove one operation marker from the battlefield. A unit cannot start this action if there's only one operation marker on the battlefield. And as a reminder of the scoring, it's in any battle round at the end of your turn. If a friendly unit performed a sensor sweep this turn, 4 VP, and then at the end of your turn, if one or more enemy units that started the turn within range of one or more objectives are destroyed, 3 VP. And then at the end of your turn again, if only one of your opponent's operation markers is on the battlefield, so if they're just the last one left, and if one or more of your units is within the same terrain area as that operation marker, and no enemy unit is within it, 4 VP. And then also from the second battle round onwards, at the end of your command phase, if you hold one or more objectives, not your home, 4 VP, so the standard hold. And then also, lastly, at the end of the battle round, if only one of your opponent's operation markers is on the battlefield, and if one or more of your units is within the same terrain area as that operation marker, and no enemy unit is within it, 5 VP. So, sort of, to cut a long story short there, it's about doing these actions on objectives that you hold to remove the disruption player's operation markers that they've put down at the start of the game. And once you get to one final operation marker being on the board, if it's a fight over that terrain piece, essentially, over that objective. And if you can take that objective and fend off your opponent so that he doesn't have any units on that terrain piece, then you're going to score, and then you're going to score an extra 5 points at the end of the battle as well. So that's how it's done. And the flip side of that is that the disruption player, they start the battle, they select 5 terrain areas, not in their deployment zone, and they place an operation marker in each one. They're doing the sensor sweep as well in exactly the same way, and removing their own operation markers. So you could get 2 a battle round removed, because each player is trying to remove one. And then it's kind of the same really, that you get down to the last operation marker and that terrain piece, and then you're both fighting over it. And again, if they have the same thing, if they're holding it, they score 4 VP, and at the end of the battle, if they're holding it and none of your units are there, they'll score 5 VP in the same way. So it's it is a very, very balanced mission, because you're essentially playing exactly the same mission. What I would say is, once you get down, and this is the interesting bit for me, and I haven't played this mission, but I can sort of see where the tension would be, because the 4th marker that's removed determines where the last one will be. So I suppose ideally you want to kind of set up your forces near one terrain area, and then still be able to take another one somewhere else and remove that penultimate marker, and so that you have set up the scenario so that when you have one marker left in the battle, and you are in prime position to take that objective, or to hold it if you've got it already, and to fend off and fight off your opponent. So there's going to be a lot of cat and mouse, I think, in this mission, and yeah, really good. How can you say it's unbalanced? I mean, you're basically playing the same thing. I think it would be a really good fun mission, to be honest. Who is more likely to win it? I mean, obviously it depends on the faction and the army, but I tend to think that priority assets player will have built their army to be more lethal than the disruption player, potentially. So maybe they've got the firepower, if not the numbers. But yeah, I mean, let me know if you've played this mission. How did it go? Because I think it's on paper it seems really good, but as I say, I haven't tested this one out yet. Let's get on to the fourth one, and that is when you're playing the recon player, you will be playing Vanguard Operation. This one looks reasonably straightforward, although again there's an action. So there's an action in all of these priority asset missions, as we discussed. It's well rounded. You have to do a little bit of everything. So in Vanguard Operation, there is an action called a Vanguard Operation, and that is very similar to the others in that you make an action with one friendly unit within one terrain area that is within your opponent's territory. So that's the slight deviation here. It's not a central objective, it's one that's in your opponent's territory, which, as a reminder, is their half of the board. And it doesn't say wholly within, it just has to be within. So this could be a central objective, actually. And this can be done once per turn, and it completes at the end of your turn if no enemy units are within that terrain area. So if this is fulfilled, then you do the Vanguard Operation. And then the scoring is, in any battle round, at the end of your turn, a friendly unit performed a Vanguard Operation this turn, 4 VP. And then at the end of the turn, if one or more enemy units were destroyed this turn, 2 VP. Quite similar again. Do your action, kill an enemy. So that's 6 points that you could get maximum there. And then from the second battle round onwards, at the end of the command phase, if you hold one or more objectives, not your home, 4 VP. So again, your classic standard hold. The funny thing about that is, so you're only scoring 10 primary VP per battle round at maximum, because you can only perform one Vanguard Operation a turn, so you can only score 4 VP for that. If one or more enemy units were destroyed, so it doesn't matter how many enemy units you destroy. Let me just check that, so make sure I've got that right. If one or more enemy units were destroyed this turn, yeah, 2 VP. So you can kill 10 units and you'd still only get 2 VP. And then if you hold one or more objectives, you get 4 VP. So yeah, a maximum of 10 primary every battle round. That's slightly mitigated by the fact that at the end of the battle, if you hold your opponent's home, again, you get 10 VP. So yet again, it's this emphasis on getting onto objectives, this time in your opponent's territory, doing an action, killing them in a more of a minor way, so picking off the odd unit here or there, and then the big incentive to push forward at the end and take their home for an extra 10 points. Again, but as we said, like sort of quite balanced, quite reasonable mission that you should be able to build for and achieve. The recon player's mission. There's not much scoring. It's called Search and Scour. At the end of the battle round, at the end of your turn, if you hold one or more central objectives, 3 VP, and then at the end of your turn, if one or more enemy units that started this turn within a terrain area are destroyed, 2 VP. That's kind of quite good, really, because the priority assets player is obviously going to be looking to get onto the central objectives, hold them and score them, and then if you can prevent them from doing that, and obviously that will involve killing the units of theirs that are on the objective, then you'll get your 5 VP. And then also from the second battle round onwards, at the end of the command phase, for each objective you hold that isn't your home, 4 VP. So this isn't the standard hold, this is cumulative scoring. So for every objective you'll get 4 VP, and you'll want to get 2, I would think, really, because you're only scoring 5 VP off the first 2 bits of scoring, holding a central objective and killing an enemy that started the turn on a central objective. So the most you can get is 5 there, and then 4 for each objective you hold. So if you hold 2 and you manage to do the other bits, you'll be getting 9, won't you? 9 VP. As we already said, the priority assets player is probably getting 10 VP if they're having a good game. But then at the end of the battle, there's another little bonus here for the recon player, and that is if no enemy units are wholly within your territory. And that one, that one's only 5 VP, and it seems quite a lot harder to achieve than the priority assets player just coming and taking their opponent's home, because you can just do that. You'll know what it takes to do that. You'll know how much OC you need, and it happens at the end of your turn, so you can control that. Whereas to have no enemy units at all wholly within your territory when their entire mission is to get into your territory and take objectives in it, that seems very hard, and then it's only half the points as well as a reward. So for me, I think this is a real uphill battle for the recon player. They are probably scoring easily enough for VP to sit on an objective, but the rest, I mean, holding one central objective at least and then killing enemies that are on them, it just seems... I suppose the thinking behind this is that they don't have to do any kind of action, where the priority assets player has to not only take the objectives, and they're either central objectives or objectives in the recon player's territory, they also then have to spend a unit doing an action and doing this Vanguard operation, and so that's why they get slightly better rewarded for that. But I just have a feeling that this mission really favours the priority assets player. He's going to be more killy. Maybe he'll be outnumbered. But, well, each player scores 2 VP just for killing one or more enemy. So actually the amount of enemies you kill doesn't really matter. You just have to kill one. So maybe the recon player will find it easier to just kill one unit. Well, they should both find it fairly easy to kill a unit. Taking the objectives, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's, as I say, the recon player only has to hold the objectives, whereas the priority assets player has to hold the objective and also do an action. But I just think that this mission still favours the priority assets player, because I think he's going to run a more powerful army and be able to control the centre ground better. And the recon player, probably running a larger army in terms of the number of units, but multiple small units, you would think, could get outgunned a bit here. But I don't know. This isn't. My gut instinct is that it favours the priority assets player. But you tell me if you've played this and I'm wrong, and it favours the recon. Let me know. Again, I haven't played it, so I'm just guessing here. And then we go on to the last mission. And this is the mirror match, so this one really should be balanced. And this is called Sabotage. And this one, again, it's an action. So Sabotage, you make an action with one friendly unit within range of an objective, so any objective. It has unlimited use, but each unit that starts this action must be within range of a different objective, and it completes at the end of your turn if that unit controls that objective. And if it does, then your unit has committed Sabotage. Now I'm just going to look on this to check, because when it says any objective, does that include your home? No, it's excluding your home. Yeah, I thought it would be, but I just wanted to check that. So it's any of the other objectives, but not your home. And the scoring is that in any battle round, at the end of your turn, for each friendly unit that committed Sabotage this turn, 3 VP, plus for each of those units that is within range of one or more objectives in your opponent's territory, plus 2 VP. So, you might be able to do your expansion easily enough, 3 points, and then if you can do a central objective, because again, it just says within range of your opponent's territory, not wholly within. So if you could do, let's say you could do 2 central objectives and your expansion, you would score 13 VP for that. So, yeah, again, we're seeing this mixture of holding objectives and doing actions, so it's pretty straightforward. And then just to round things off, the classic second battle round onwards, at the end of the command phase, if you hold one or more objectives, not your home, 4 VP, so just hold an objective. So I would think it's going to be reasonably easy to score your primary on this mission. You should at least be able to... Well, let's just check again. So it's unlimited use. So you could do 2 sabotages a turn, which would be 6. And if they are within your opponent's territory, they would be 5 points each. So that would be 10. And then you hold one more objective, so 4. So you're getting... So if you're just taking 2 objectives, if you're taking the 2 central objectives and doing sabotage on both of them, you're automatically getting 14 VP for that. So I think this is quite a high scorer, but because the emphasis is on objectives in your opponent's terrain, I think this is going to be quite an aggressive mission, which really encourages both players to really push forward. So this could be a bit of a bloodbath, this one, but totally balanced mirror match, and should be really good fun for the Priority Assets players out there. So just lastly, to wrap this little series up, let's talk about the armies that you're going to encounter that will be running this Priority Assets detachment. And they're reasonably strong ones, to be fair. They are balanced, powerful armies in the game and detachments that go with it. So if you know anything about the game, you'll recognise all of these. Adepta Sororitas, Sisters of Battle, Hallowed Martyrs, okay? Astra Militarum, Grizzled Company, Blood Angels, Angelic Inheritors, Chaos Space Marines, Pact Bound Zealots, Dark Angels, Wrath of the Rock, Death Watch, Black Spear Task Force, Necrons, Star Shatter Arsenal, Space Marines, Blade of Ultramar and Gladius Task Force, Thousand Suns Grand Coven, and Votan Hearthband. Now those are all the 3 detachment point detachments that have Priority Assets as their disposition. And as I say, if you know anything about any of those are all massively powerful detachments, some of the absolute best in the game. Very strong, I would think. A Gladius or a Grand Coven, anything, Hallowed Martyrs, these are all very, very strong, very powerful armies. They are, have a balance of being hard to kill, are very damaging themselves, and not elite forces particularly, so will have the extra units to do the necessary actions as well. So I think, without having run it myself but having played against it now, I think Priority Assets is a very strong disposition, one of the best. And I would say my final thoughts are that Priority Assets and Taken Hold are very solid, very good dispositions. Purge the Foe probably has a higher ceiling, but you can also get it very wrong and be blown out as well. Reconnaissance seems strong, but in a slightly different way, giving you more flexibility and giving armies that aren't quite so lethal a very effective play style. And then I think possibly Disruption is bringing up the rear here, and Disruption may be the weakest disposition out of the 5. But you tell me, am I right on that or wrong? As I say, I'm not an expert, haven't played a lot of these or most of these missions. This is just my feel from reading through them for the first time. So again, I hope this video was helpful and you enjoyed the little series. I'm going to do some more videos, hopefully. I've got some things coming up in the next week or so which might prevent me, but hopefully I'll do a few other videos shortly on like the secondary missions and the core rules and things like that. So like and subscribe and stay tuned for those, and until then, thank you for listening. Take care.